Context: I, 25 female, live in Germany with my partner, 28 female. I come from a country where being gay is illegal. My parents had similar thoughts, and when I came out at 13, they said I had to turn out straight or else the consequences won't be good. Since that day, our conversations were minimal, and they just gave me the basic education, food, and a roof for me to exist, whereas they were always spoiling my elder sister, who was 3 years older than me, with luxuries and special surprises. I knew the reason. It was because she was straight and normal, according to them. Fast forward. At 18, I got into a good college, and my parents paid its fees. When 4 years later I graduated, they wanted me to get married to a good boy soon, but I applied for a master's program in a university abroad and got in with a scholarship. My parents said that if I went there, they would disown me for real this time. I went to Germany to study, and my parents kept their word and cut off all contact with me. I had done editing, freelancing, and worked as a social media manager during my college days, so I had some money saved up to survive in Germany for a while without my parents' support. Anyway, for 3 years, my parents didn't contact me. I graduated from the university and am now working in a company which pays me pretty well enough. 2 days ago, I got a call from my parents that they were broke and had lost all their money because my elder sister had become addicted to gambling and had lost our house and Dad's other properties in the game. My parents asked me to send $2,500 to them because they were really struggling and expected me to help out. I just called them selfish giants, cussed at them, and hung up. They called me again and said I owed them the money because they had kept me in their house and paid for my education, food, and other basic requirements, even after knowing that I was gay. They said that I am basically abandoning them at their worst situation. I just told them that they wouldn't get anything from me and hung up. I told my partner. She says I am not obliged to help them. One of my best friends said that I have been acting like an a-hole and not being grateful to them. So the question is to the people of Reddit, am I the a-hole in this situation? Also, I can afford to send them $2,500. It won't harm me financially much, but it's just that I chose not to send them the money. Not the a-hole. Housing you and feeding you is basic minimum parental responsibility. They chose to stop contact with you, not the other way around, so I wouldn't give them anything and wouldn't feel bad about it either. Not the a-hole. She owes them nothing. They did the bare minimum for parent because they decided in the first place to have that child. Keep the money for you and enjoy yourself. Absolutely not the a-hole. Your friend who thinks you are the a-hole probably grew up in a much healthier environment. They expect you to help now because they gave you the bare minimum when you were a child and basically disowned you afterward. Wow, the audacity of some people. You don't owe them a dime or a second of your time. My son Josh and his partner of 4 years, Sheila, just parted ways. Sheila has been accusing my son of cheating. She's been living with us for the entirety of their relationship. Due to lockdowns, Josh has been staying in his place of work along with some of the employees and is rarely home. When Sheila told me about her suspicion, I told her that she should go and stay with my son in his accommodations, since his company allows wives to stay there, so she could confirm if her suspicions are correct. She declined, saying she is afraid of what she might find out. I said she shouldn't be afraid, and that if she could get just one proof, I would personally whoop my son's butt in his workplace and would ban him from ever coming home to us and disown him. Sheila still declined. But I was made aware that she has been maligning my son and the supposed other woman on social media, to the point that both have been harassed, and the woman in question was contemplating on filing a case against Sheila. Sheila was the one who ended the relationship and moved out of our house with no warning. She just came home from work one day with some of her co-workers and gathered all her belongings and took the baby without a word. I cried for a week. That was 3 months ago, and my son has stopped giving financial support because Sheila is keeping the child away from him. He was anticipating that Sheila would file a case and showed up so he could ask the court for some time to see and be with his child, at least once or twice a week, or a maximum of 4 to 5 days in a month, to which Sheila is vehemently against. She is only allowing 1 day of visitation, on the condition that my son should be the one to go to their place, where her whole family lives, to visit the child, and not take the child anywhere else. They are set to resume mediation next week. Just this morning, Sheila called me to ask if she could use my house, which has a fairly large garden, for the child's upcoming first birthday. She said she thinks our place is the best venue since my 85-year-old mom, who can't walk without assistance and has comorbidities, can attend the said event, which she won't be able to do if the event is held elsewhere. She also said she would be inviting most of her co-workers and friends, some of whom have left hurtful comments on her posts, hence the need for a big space. My daughter heard our entire conversation, was on loudspeaker since I was busy cooking, and was bewildered why I would even consider Sheila's request. To think that since she left, Sheila has never contacted any of us, nor agreed to let my mom see her great-grandchild during my mom's birthday a week ago, where I invited her and her parents to come. She may be right in saying that Sheila is only using my mom as an excuse to avoid paying for a venue. So, would I be the a-hole if I declined Sheila's request, considering that the party is for my grandchild that I haven't seen in 3 months now? Not the a-hole. She never even contacted you after she up and left, without much of a care to explain or warn y'all. She's also keeping the kid away from your son, and since he never actually confirmed crap about your son cheating, it seems like she just doesn't want to pay for a venue, using your mother as an excuse like your daughter said. Perhaps you could see whether or not she's just using you by asking for a price, considering it's your home and most of the people coming are from her side. Either way, it's your home, and you're more than allowed to say no, even if she kept in contact. Not the a-hole. She's using the child and your love for them as leverage to get what she wants. She makes no effort to include you until she wants something. By bringing her coworkers, etc., she's going to make you uncomfortable in your own home. Do not give in to this woman. Not the a-hole. Decline away. Any birthday party held at your house so that Josh's son can see his great-grandma, your mother, should be without Sheila and her cronies. So if great-grandma being able to attend was truly the reason, which obviously isn't because she's BSing you, she should be willing to drop off the kid and make herself disappear, like she did when she moved out with no warning. So, my brother and his ex-wife separated last year, and they finalized everything in their divorce recently. They have a 6-year-old son together, and I noticed that my brother hasn't really been a part of his son's life since the separation, the way he used to. And when I asked him about it, he said that she has full custody, and that's that. Since our family all have kids around the same age, we always throw big parties for them where we rent out a space and hire different forms of entertainment. We usually do this every summer and once during the school year. It's always really fun, and throughout the years, we've opened it up to our kids' friends as well. So it's always a huge celebration and like a mini carnival. We had to cancel the summer party this year because of a destination wedding, so we're having a huge party tomorrow instead. It came out last week that my sister-in-law has a social media account where she started posting about how her and her ex-husband had to use a sperm donor because he couldn't have kids, and how that since their separation, he disowned his son and doesn't want any relationship with him anymore. My sister's friend sent her the account, and she has a few thousand followers and like 10 videos talking about the process and answering people's questions. When we asked our brother about it, he already knew because someone showed him and was having multiple breakdowns because this was a sensitive subject he didn't want anyone to know about, and that she's doing this as revenge because he's not in his son's life. I was disgusted by the behavior. If my brother doesn't want to be in his son's life, he doesn't have to be. To expose a secret he hadn't even told our parents to the world was appalling. To my complete surprise, my sister-in-law had the nerve to message me a few days ago asking for the address to the party. I called her and told her that we know about her little account, and that she and her son have no place at our party, and that she's disgusting for even asking. She told me multiple kids in her son's grade are going, and I told her that's not my business and to lose all of our numbers. She then had the nerve to post a video about our call, and multiple people in her comments have been calling me all sorts of horrible names and a-hole. I didn't care since my entire family agrees that she or him don't go. But a student in my daughter's class's mom, who must be friends with my ex-sister-in-law that's always attended the party, messaged me saying her daughter wouldn't be attending because of my childish, disgusting attitude, and she will be telling others the same. I've been sick about that ever since. Am I the a-hole? She did expose my brother's deepest secret, and also, this isn't a party you can just drop off. Parents are required to stay, since there's multiple events going on, and we don't want to be liable, and we don't want her there. Am I interpreting this correctly? Your brother and his then partner had a child together using donor sperm. Your brother now doesn't want anything to do with his child? If I am, then your brother is a massive a-hole for thinking he can just opt out of parenting, and you're the a-hole for thinking his choice is okay. I don't particularly like what your sister-in-law is doing, but in my honest opinion, it pales in comparison to your brother's decision to walk away from his responsibilities to his child. Hang on, this is his son, not his son. He doesn't get to just choose not to be involved now. And if he does, that makes him the a-hole. He's been dad to his son for 6 years, and by the sounds of things, has just abandoned him. How you could defend that is beyond me. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole, as well as your brother. He disowned his son after the divorce because he was conceived via a sperm donor. Your brother has been the boy's father for 6 years, and he just abandoned him. I don't agree with your ex-sister-in-law's social media account airing the family laundry, but I understand that she is angry and hurting on your nephew's behalf. You're being petty and vindictive by not allowing your nephew to attend. Shame on all of you. My brother was a junior and accepted into a pretty competitive engineering program at North Carolina State 6 years ago. He had a lot going for him. His sorority girlfriend found out she was pregnant, so he dropped out after his fall semester and started taking classes part-time and working at a dealership as a mechanic. So anyway, kid comes. She's finishing up college and he's working to provide for the family. No suspicions at all on his part. A few months after the baby is born, they find out he has cerebral palsy. So he had a pretty long road of surgeries and is confined to a wheelchair. He had to drop out altogether and work 2 jobs to save for and afford just medical and disability-related stuff. Sticks around for about 2 years and works his butt off. 2 years later, he saw a Facebook conversation left up on his now fiance's laptop when she was at work. It was a former affair partner hitting her up that she was actually telling to leave her alone. But the conversation made it obvious that they were hooking up at the same time she was dating him. So he basically read the entire 3-year conversation that went back to around the time she got pregnant and before. Long story short, he did the test. Kid was not his. They broke off the engagement, and she's a single mom working on suing the actual father for child support. But until then, he's been helping out financially with his son because he feels like a moral obligation to do so. I warned him to stop, as she could sue him for paternity instead since he is assuming a fatherly role, which opens the door to child support. But he dismissed my warnings and continued to play daddy for the kid. As I expected, she sued him for child support and paternity back in November, since he was playing daddy for 6 years. I happened to know her younger brother from college, and later found out she knew who the dad was, but pinned her child on my bro as he earned more. He was yet in another toxic relationship with another fiancé who only took advantage of him the year before. He lent her $6,500, which she never paid back, and as implied in a phone conversation between me and her at midnight, she was indeed an S-worker and not the pious Christian she was pretending to be. Yet my brother dismissed my warnings again. Now he's got financial issues, for which he recently asked for my help and that of my parents. I was obviously pissed. He wanted my parents and I to bail him out of his own failures. Not gonna happen. I had a lengthy discussion with my parents to disown him. Luckily, they relented and did as I asked, and we cut off contact with him ever since. Most of my friends and family members think that I was being totally nasty and ruthless for doing this to my brother. Some even claimed I was doing it for the money, which, being honest, is half true. But the reason why I did it was because my brother is a weak-minded fool that needed to suffer. Am I really being the a-hole here for teaching that stupid idiot some personal responsibility? You're the a-hole. Your poor brother. Nothing like having a brother who will kick you when you are down. You're awful. You're the a-hole. You had him disowned because you feel he's weak-minded and a fool who deserves to suffer? Don't lend him money if you don't like his choices, but to be so controlling and resentful that you make your parents disown him? That seems excessive. Oh wait, you also mentioned you want their money, so we should add greedy and childish to that list. You're the a-hole for getting your parents to disown your brother. I think it's a little more complicated with the child. He spent 2 years raising that kid, so I understand why he wouldn't want to just abandon him. It may not have been financially smart, but I think he also was in a difficult position. With the second woman, he was foolish. I don't think you and your parents need to financially bail him out. But for him to be disowned is pretty harsh unless he's doing something else. You all could have said no. He still would be suffering. My family makes homemade pies for Thanksgiving every year. The person who bakes them always pushes everyone to answer honestly about how they taste to get feedback. When they asked me about the pies, I said I noticed one tasted different than they normally do. They pressed me for more info, so I said it tastes like it may be missing an ingredient, or maybe like they used a sweetener alternative. Meanwhile, everyone else just gave a typical, "Oh, it's great," response. I was then told that the youngest children in the family, 9 and 12, helped make the pies. I said something along the lines of, "Oh, that's awesome. You've got to stick with the recipe because," family member, "has a pie reputation to uphold." It got a few laughs, and the remainder of the evening was normal. A few weeks later, the family member who baked the pies was being short with me. I asked if I had done something wrong to upset them. They said that we would need to sit down and talk. I have crippling anxiety, and I asked if they could just give me some insight so I can know what I did. They told me that they can't discuss it until after Christmas because they're too busy decorating. I asked if we could chat before then so we can work through this and enjoy the holidays. That request was met with something to the effect of, "No, and I won't be texting back and forth with you." The tone of the conversation made me feel as if I wasn't very welcome at their house for Christmas. I wasn't even really invited. I just gotta make sure to bring insert food item here message, which seems more like a demand than an invite. If I did go, I would feel extremely awkward and on edge about something I wasn't even aware of. Christmas also seemed more important to them than working this out with me. My feelings were hurt, so I decided not to celebrate with them. I reached out to other members of the family, and one person did tell me that I hurt their feelings about my pie comment, and I likely hurt the feelings of the children who helped make them. I realized at that point what I had done and felt horrible. I reached out to the children and apologized. Fast forward 2 months, and I receive an email saying they are formally severing ties with me and no longer have or want anything to do with me. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but learn a lesson here, and that is, when someone asks for your opinion, rarely do they want to hear the actual truth. They really want to hear platitudes and praise. The person who cut you off is an a-hole. If one does not want the truth, then they do not ask for it. How can you be the a-hole if they won't even tell you what they think happened? not the a-hole, and be thankful that you don't have to deal with that kind of stress and unpredictability. If someone can construe "this tastes different" to mean anything even remotely like an insult, they might not be stable. Not the a-hole. Their choice to cut ties with you sounds like a drastic improvement to your life. I'm surprised that your family lets 4-year-olds use the oven unsupervised, because that seems to be the level of mental and emotional maturity being exhibited by this particular relative.